right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started with a review exercise today. So if you would, Scott, go and take out your speed drill and review exercise booklet. And we're going to do review exercise 28. There on the bottom of page 24. Bottom of page 24, review exercise number 28. And just a couple of problems that kind of deal with miscellaneous stuff there. Now, I do want to point out something here, and that is how credit cards work. So I'm going to make up some rough numbers here, Joshua. And let's suppose you needed to put money on your credit card, and let's suppose you had $1,000, let's go with $100. That'll be a little easier. $100, and let's suppose your interest rate is 12% or 0.12. Well, the way your credit card works is every month the interest recalculates. So if the time is a month, how would I write 1 month? Considering in the simple interest formula, remember we said time has to be in years.
So half a year?
Yeah.
A month is half a year.
Well,
it's
no.
12.
1/12
I thought you meant
of a year. So if you were to calculate how much interest, if you have a 12% interest rate, how much interest would you pay on $100 in 1 month? Well, you would simply multiply the 100 times 0.12 times 1/12. Well, I picked these numbers on purpose because they're easy. What's 100 times 0.12?
I feel like they should
12. You move the decimal twice.
Yeah.
It's 100. You move the decimal to 12. But then you multiply 12 by 1/12 and you get
One.
$1. So at the end of the month, if you don't make your payment, number one, you've got a little issue here, but you now owe $101. Yeah. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but now you make it $1,000 on the credit card, which is, now it's $10. So it's $1,010 just for 1 month of not paying off your credit card. Usually interest rates are a little higher than 12%. But let's take some rather rough numbers here, and we'll kind of work this through. Let's take maybe an 18% interest rate, and let's say you've got $2,078. Well, you have to make what's called a minimum payment on a credit card. You can't just not pay anything, or you get in trouble with the credit card company. So most companies charge a minimum payment of either 1%, which would be $20.78, or $25, which is pretty normal. So let's suppose you make the minimum payment. Well, now your principal isn't $2,078. Once you make the minimum payment, your principal is
$2,053.
There we go, $2,053. That needs to be multiplied by the 0.18 and by the 1/12. Now I'm going to cheat. You won't be able to do this in a moment, but for sake of time, we could multiply the 2,053 times the 0.18, and that would give us $369.54. How do you multiply that by 1/12?
Who knows?
Divide it by 12.
Oh.
Multiplying by a 12th is the same as just dividing by 12, right? Just like taking half of something is the same as dividing by 2. 1/3 of something, just divide by 3. A 12th of something, just divide by 12. So we divide that by 12. And we find that the interest is $30.79.5. Well, we would round that off and say $30.80 of interest. So how much do I owe on the credit card? I still owe this, plus I now owe that.
Oh.
So even though I made a minimum payment, I actually now owe more than I had in the first place because of interest. So we add that on to the $83.80. There we go. Does that make sense how that works? So that's why you generally don't want to make only a minimum payment, because then the interest starts to pile up. And little by little, you keep owing more and more every month. That's one problem that you have. You have another problem here that to get you to think through some different things here. So with sales, and I think we've dealt with this already. So just two problems for you to work on exercise 28. Go ahead and get started. Well, let's take a look at this. And Joshua, you were the first one to finish. And perfect, it's got your name in there. Joshua, but it's not you. Joshua Sanders spent $397 on a credit card that charges 14.9% interest. The following month, he made only the minimum payment of $25. What will his balance be the next month if he doesn't charge anything else to his card? What do we have to do first, Joshua?
Subtract $25.
Absolutely. Take the $397 he currently owes, subtract out the minimum payment. What is the amount of money that's going to be charged interest?
$372.
Right. $372 is the principal that gets charged interest. This isn't being charged interest because he paid 25 of it. This gets charged interest, and the rate needs to be written as a decimal.
0.149.
And again, then we've got that fraction we're going to need to work in for the time. 1/12, which basically means divide by 12. Did you?
Yes.
You forgot to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, you had 1 as the time.
No, I didn't have it.
You forgot about I
Yeah.
equals PRT. Okay, that's kind of important. Yeah, I equals PRT is what we're going for here. Lana, are you good so far?
I don't think I did it right.
Okay, does it make sense what we should have done?
Yes.
All right, so at your seats, let's go and multiply the 370. Actually, Joshua, I believe you already had the 372 times the 0.149.
Yeah.
What was that?
35.428.
That doesn't sound right. Wait. You said what?
Oh, wait.
Not
It should
35.428.
be 65.
Should have been 55.428. 55.428 when you multiply that out. All right, so just be careful in the multiplication here, right? 18, carry the 1, 4, carry the 6, 33, shift over. Anyway, for sake of space, we'll just leave it there. But then we have to take this, the P times R, and again, to multiply by 1/12 class, you're really going to divide away the 12. So now we have to divide that by 12. Well, 12 goes into 55 how many times, class? 4,
Yeah.
right?
4.
4 times, with how many left over?
7.
7. How many times does 12 go into 74?
6.
6 with
Yeah.
Wait.
5.
2 left over.
Two.
6 times
What?
12 is 72. So
Two,
there's
yes.
2 left over. Come on now. 12 goes into 22 how many times?
1.
Once. With how many left over?
Man. 8.
10.
10. Because
Yeah.
22 minus 12 is
I
10.
can't think straight.
How many times does 12 go into 108?
9.
9 evenly, right?
Yeah.
So this is how much money he gets charged in interest. Well, that's not how we write money, class. Not 4.619. We should write
4.62.
$4.62. That's how much interest he gets charged. But his balance before that was 372. So what will be his balance the next month? What do I do to finish?
Add it on.
Add the interest onto what he had left over. So he will end up owing
$376.62.
There we go. And that's the answer we should have had for the first one. Questions on that first one?
Like, I just got completely stuck. I didn't even know how to I didn't even think you had to subtract.
Okay, that's why I showed the problem right before that. The first 5, I spent 5 minutes going over just how to work these. So make sure you're paying attention during that time. Does it make sense now? Okay, so again, a minimum payment. Now again, ideally, class, are you listening? You don't need to be working right now, you need to be listening. Ideally, he pays $397. Because if he pays $397, he doesn't pay any interest. But he only paid 25. Well, again, it lowered his balance, it lowered his principal, but he ends up paying some interest, which again, $4.62 isn't that bad. Though think about it. What if you do that every month for a year? Every month, another $4.50. Over time, it's going to add up to, well, $55 of interest. You can do a lot with $55. Not as much as you could back when I was your age, but you can still do a lot with $55. So you don't want to pay interest, but that's how it would work out. Let's look at the next problem. Samantha Stone wants to buy a necklace that's listed for $120, but it's on sale for 15% off. So again, the price tag says $120, but it's also on the rack that says 15% off. Okay, so that's a necklace, that's the price tag, that's the sign. So if it's 15% off, There's a couple ways you could do this. Let's go to Lana. What could we do here?
15% of 120.
Sure, we could take 15% of $120, and what'd you get?
18.
18. Now, again, it's 15% off, which since 18 is 15% of, that means $18 off. So if it was 120 and she's getting 18 off, what's her sale price? She doesn't pay 18. 18 is her savings. She pays 102. But then Uncle Sam wants his unfair share, doesn't he? What does Uncle Sam want? Tax. And there's also an 8% sales tax. So what do I have to do now?
5.0.
By the 102. And what do we get there? $8.16. So she was gonna pay this price, but then Uncle Sam charges tax. So what is her total for the necklace?
160. What? 110, 16. We just add the 102 plus the $8.16. She pays $110.16 for the necklace. Questions on that? We've actually done several problems like that earlier this year when we were talking about percents. So this one should have been pretty straightforward. Questions?
I just messed up because instead of putting 102, I put 112. I don't know.
Okay, so just a little careless mistake when you subtracted the 18 probably. Okay, questions? Does it make sense how sale price work, tax? I mean, that I think we were already good with. Do we understand credit cards a little bit better now?
Yeah.
How the interest works on credit cards. All right, let me go and collect that from you then. And turn your textbooks to page 498. Page 498, there we go. Turning in your textbooks, to page 498. And obviously I did not have homework last night, but do want you to do some problems that are in the homework section there on page 498. So 489, I was dexing. Try 489. Page 489 in the homework section. I want you to do numbers 18 to 22 and 29 to 32. 18 to 22 and 29 to 32. Just to review some different algebra concepts, order of operations, and combining some like terms, things like that. So quick review for classwork, and then we'll get back into what we were looking at yesterday with multiplying binomials.
Lana? Let's go ahead and take a look at these together, see how we did. Starting on number 18 and starting with Alana, what did you do when you combined like terms?
28R.
Ooh, Josh.
30R.
Oh, 8 plus 21?
29.
29R.
Oh, what I was doing.
We're struggling today. Hang in there, folks. Hang in there. I know. It's okay. You're human. It's okay. You're allowed to struggle. Don't beat yourself up over it, but man. All right. Let's see. How about number 19? All right, for redemption here, Lana.
24B.
Oh, they got you. You ever heard the phrase mind your P's and Q's? It means pay attention to details, because a P has a stick on this side of the ball, and a Q has a stick on that side of the ball. And they give you some P's and some Q's. Joshua?
17P, positive 7Q.
17P, positive 7Q. That's just evil of them to do that. All right, hey, they say third tries the charm, Lon. Here we go, number 20.
5M, positive 7B.
I knew it. 5M, positive 7B. I knew you'd get that one. Number 21, Joshua.
Negative 1D, positive 23K.
Good. Negative 1D, positive 23K. And number 22. Come on.
16J, positive 11M.
Joshua?
16J, positive 17N.
Yeah, positive 17N.
19 minus 2
Is 17. Yeah.
I am doing terrible today.
Hey, the good news is you don't have a test today, right? So if you have to have a bad day where your brain just isn't working, let it be a day there's no tests. There was the verse quiz earlier today. Hopefully you were doing okay on that.
Yeah, I got
Okay. All right, so you're good on verse quiz.
I
It's
still
just,
got another quiz.
all right.
Just dead after the long day.
All right, well, get some sleep tonight. We'll do better tomorrow. Let's drop down to 29 to 32, order of operations. I'm a little nervous to see how this went, but here we go anyway. Number 29, Joshua.
Negative 22.
Lana.
Negative 17.
Negative 17.
Ow.
So we're going to start with the exponent first, right? 4 squared is 16.
Yeah.
Then we've got divided by 4 times 2 minus 25. We've got to divide first. That's going to give us 4 times 2 minus 25. Again, don't multiply first. Division's written first. Then multiply to get 8, negative 25. And that's where we get negative 17. Joshua, I think you multiplied to get 8.
Yeah.
Divided to get 2, and then did 2 negative 25. So again, it's multiply, divide. We actually have that up here. Multiplication, division's all the same step, but you do whichever comes first. So right here on the example, 6 divided by 2 times 5, you do the division, then multiply. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's see, for redemption, number 30, Joshua. 10 is correct. Number 31. Oh, we got to take a look at that one?
30 for number 30.
All right, let's take a look. We have a 20 minus, and then in parentheses, Lana, we're going to go ahead and simplify. But there's 2 different things in the parentheses. There's a subtraction, and there's a multiplication. Which comes first?
Multiplication.
7 times 2 is?
14.
Then we're going to do 19 minus 14 to get 5. So we're going to end up with a 20 minus 5. And then it says times 10 divided by 5. Well, I can't do any of this yet, Lana, because this multiplication has to happen first after the parentheses. So avoid the temptation of saying, well, 10 divided by 5 is 2. No, we've got to start with the 5 times 10 is... So it's 20 minus 50 divided by 5. Then we've got to do the 50 divided by 5. 10. So it's 20 minus 10, and that's where we get the 10. I think maybe your minus changed to a plus somewhere down the line. That might have been like that 30.
I did 10 divided by 5 way up there.
Gotcha. Yeah, careful, not yet. Parentheses first, then the multiplication, then this last division, right before the subtraction. All right, number 31, back to Lana. 1 is correct. Joshua, good to go there?
I was trying to finish it.
Trying to finish that one, okay?
I was
And then number 32 then, Lana.
24.
24 is correct. So that's not so bad. 3 out of 4 on order of operations. All right, not so terrible. Questions on this? Questions on this? I think for sake of time, I will pass on this other assignment. And let's get right into what we were working on yesterday. Look right across the page, if you would. Page 488. We were working on multiplying binomials together. And we said that a monomial times a polynomial, we would do something called distribution. But if we had a binomial times another polynomial, we do double distribution. Remember that from yesterday? Okay. You alive in there? Double distribution. Hang in there, Lana. Hang in there. Double distribution. So if I had like a 3x minus 7, and I were multiplying it by, let's just say, an x squared positive 5x negative 3. By the way, notice the descending powers. Anyway, I could distribute the 3x to everything, Joshua, to get
3. Yeah, 3. No.
multiply.
Yeah, 3x cubed.
Right? And then here, keep going. Don't.
15x squared.
Sign, number, letter.
Negative 9x.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then once you've distributed the 3x all the way through, then you can distribute the negative 7 all the way through. So Lana, go ahead and distribute the negative 7. Positive times negative is negative. 3 times 3 is 9. X times nothing is x. We're multiplying. Sign, number, letter.
Negative 7x squared.
Good. Then here,
Negative 2x.
multiplying. Sign, number, letter. Multiplying.
Negative 35x.
There we go. Because we're multiplying. And then the last, right here.
Negative 21.
Negative times negative?
Positive 21.
Positive 21. And then, of course, we could combine some like terms. Now, we only worked with binomials yesterday, but I wanted to show you what it would look like if we had maybe something a little bit bigger, a little bit of combining. Now, the 3x cubed, no friends. So, class? 3x cubed. 15x squared and negative 7x squared. You're not multiplying, you're adding them, you're combining them.
8x cubed.
Positive 8x squared. We've got a couple of like terms here.
Negative 45.
Negative 45.
Negative 44x. And then we've got this positive 21 who also has no friends, and we would keep that. However, when you only look at binomials, like you see on number 22 across the page, number 22, back on page 488, we've got a b positive 7 times a b positive 8. Well, now the double distribution ends up being 4 multiplications. Your first, your outer, your inner, and your last. Or in other words, class, FOIL is essentially what we were doing. So, if it's only 2 binomials, we can FOIL them. And what do we get when we multiply the first, Joshua?
B squared.
The outer, Lana.
8b.
The inner, Joshua.
7b.
And the last, Lana.
Positive 56.
And then remember we said with binomials, oftentimes the outer inner will combine together. And so what could we write for our final answer, anyone?
B squared.
Positive 15b. Positive 56.
There we go. Remember foiling yesterday? It's no different than double distribution. Double distribution, by the way, works no matter how big the second polynomial is. FOIL, again, is strictly for 2 binomials. Let's take a look at 24. We've got a y minus z, and we've got a y minus z. Now, we've got to be careful with a couple things here on 24. As we FOIL first, outer, inner, last, let's have Lana start with the first.
Y squared.
Joshua, the outers.
Negative z squared.
Careful, the outers.
Y z.
Sign, letter. There's no number, so sign, letter.
Negative YZ.
There we go. What about the inner, Lana?
Negative ZY.
But alphabetically.
Negative YZ.
There we go. And then last, Joshua.
Is that positive Z squared?
Positive Z squared. And once again, we can combine the outer inner here. But what do we get when we combine a negative YZ with a negative YZ?
Negative 2 YZ.
Bingo, negative 2 YZ. Don't fall into the trap of the Y squared Z squared nonsense. That's if you were multiplying. We were adding a negative 1 with a negative 1 to get a negative 2 YZ. Now, of course, the Y squared at the beginning and the Z squared at the end, they don't have any friends. But the two negative YZs can make a negative 2 YZ there. Do we remember this from yesterday? Let's take a look at number 26. We've got a C minus D. And we've got a C plus D, or we could say a C negative D, C positive D. And let's think distribution this time. Let's change gears instead of thinking FOIL. As we noted before, it's really the same thing, but when we distribute the C, Lana, what do we get?
Oh.
C times D.
Oh. CD.
Positive CD. There we go. Don't make it hard. All right, Joshua, when we distribute the negative D.
Negative DC.
Well, CD alphabetically.
Yeah.
And then
D squared, positive D squared.
signs are different.
Oh, right. Negative D squared.
Negative D squared. And then we can, of course, combine the outer inner together. I've got a positive 1 CD and a negative 1 CD, class.
0.
They cancel. 0 CDs, or nothing really there, so my answer is just.
D squared, negative D squared.
All right, starting to come back to us from what we did yesterday. Again, didn't have any homework with this. 28. Let's mix it up just a little by putting some numbers with the letters now. Make it just a little bit more of a challenge, perhaps. And do you want to do FOIL or do you want to do double distribution, Josh? They're really the same thing as we've noted, but which way do we want to think of it? You like to think FOIL. Okay, so let's put our first outer inner last. And what do we get when we multiply our first?
15n squared.
Good. Last time, remember, we struggled to remember the n squared because we're so focused on the numbers. Great job remembering. What about your outers, Joshua?
Negative 2.
You're multiplying.
Oh, right.
Sign, number, letter. Got to think. Sign, number, letter.
Negative 15. N.
Good. What about your inner? Sign, number, letter.
Who's it?
You.
Oh.
This is your problem.
Oh. 3n.
Positive 3n. And for your last, sign, number, well, anyway, sign, number.
Negative 2.
Joshua, you're multiplying. Sign,
I'm
number.
kidding.
Sign, number. You're distributing, you're multiplying.
Negative 3.
Negative 3. Now we'll go and combine the outer and inner together to get a final answer of
15n squared. Negative 12n. Negative 3.
good. We're combining when we get to the last step, but in the process, the FOIL, it's all multiplication to get them. Lana, you get number 30. And do you want to do double distribution or FOIL? How do you want to think of it?
I'll try double distribution.
All right. So again, on double distribution, you ignore the existence of the other piece. You're only focused on the 6y, and we're distributing here. What do we get when we distribute?
36y.
Sign, number, letter. Sign is positive, number is 36, letter is,
Y. Square.
there we go. Sign, number, letter.
Negative 36y.
Good, now we're done with the 6y. There's nothing left to distribute. Now I'm focused on the positive 6. Let's distribute that. Sign, number, letter.
Positive 36y.
And then,
And then
right here, sign, number, well, yeah.
negative 36.
All right, we try to combine what would have been our outer inner.
They cancel.
So I just am left with
36y squared negative 36.
There we go.
Again, it's your choice which way you want to think of it. Do you want to think FOIL or do you want to just think double distribution? You are literally doing the exact same thing regardless when it's two binomials. Questions on this? All right, now look back across the page, page 489, do 15 through 17. Page 489, 15 through 17 in the homework section. Lana, what did you get for number 15?
H squared positive 2h positive 1.
Great job. H squared positive 2h positive 1. Joshua, what did you get
Wait.
for number 16? Sorry?
Positive 2h.
All right, let's show it.
Uh-huh.
H positive 1 times H positive 1. If you're foiling, your first is H times H, that's H squared. Your outer is H times 1, which is 1H. Your inner is 1 times H, which is 1H. And your last is 1 times 1, which is 1. The 1H plus 1H gives you 2H. Of course, the H squared has no friends, and the 1 has no friends.
I just can't.
Careful, are they inverses?
Oh, right.
They're both positive, so no, they don't cancel.
That's
Number 16, what did you get? Josh?
J squared positive 14, J positive 14.
Careful, 8 times 6 at the end. When you multiply the last, it's 8 times 6.
Oh, 48.
48. J squared positive 14, J positive 48. And Lana, number 17.
Q squared negative 12q positive 11.
Great job. Q squared negative 12Q positive 11. Questions on 16 or 17? Kind of addressed a question on 16. Anything on 17? All right, go ahead and drop down just a little bit. Do 23 through 28 now. 23 through 28. Again, focus on all multiplication until you get your 4 things, your F, your O, your I, your L. Once you got all 4 of them, then switch to addition with the outer inner. 23 through 28. As you finish, check your answers against those on the board. Which one, Lana?
I missed 23 and 26 so far.
Okay. So you said you missed.
So I had forgotten the x squared and y squared of those ones, but
Okay.
everything else was correct.
Okay.
And then I got positive ones.
Oh, because when you added instead of multiplied at the end. So here, when you multiplied your lasts together, you treated it like an addition instead of a multiplication. Multiplied gives -2. If you add them, you get +1, but here we're multiplying.
But when you get same positive, one
Negative times positive, -1 times 2 is 2.
Oh,
Right. If you add them, you get a +1, but you're not supposed to add, you're supposed to multiply. You're distributing the -1. So sign, number, and there's just not a letter. So always be thinking sign, number, letter, working through them. And you said 26 was this one? All right, what was
I just added 15 plus. I had a squared positive 40, a positive 40 instead of
so same thing again. Instead of multiplying, you added. So be careful. Sign, positive, number. Had to work it out there. 375 when we multiply. Okay, so again, here's the thing. Now that you know you tend to do that, when you're on quizzes and tests and homework tonight, for instance, not quizzes and tests tonight, but homework tonight. Okay, let me focus. Make sure I multiply those lasts together. Joshua, how'd you do?
I got everything right besides the 25y squared. I forgot to put the square part.
Okay, so other than forgetting y times, again, think sign, number, letter. Sign, positive, number, 25 letter, y squared. Gotta always think sign, number, letter as you work through. But otherwise good, a small mistake. Mistake we don't want to make, right? But small mistake nonetheless. Homework for this evening is to do page 495. Page 495. Do the homework 1 through 9. Page 495, the homework 1 through 9. We'll take a look at that tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Get some rest tonight.
It's not.